Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore and theory video, and today we are going to take a look at everyone's favorite enemy, the skeleton, and I will explain to you how strong they are and where their true strength even lies. But before we're going to do so, let me quickly thank my Patreons for supporting this channel, as well as say thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And with that said, let's dive into the topic at hand. Skeletons are at this point a bit of a cliché enemy in every fantasy setting. They are often portrayed as fodder enemies or shop clerks with a suspicious similarity to Ainz's personality. And the only skeleton enemies that I can come up with that pose an actual challenge are the skeletons of Dark Souls. And the skeletons of Overlord are no different from these fodder enemies, at least at first glance. The skeletons of Ainz are considered to be low-tier undead, and even among the low-tier undead, they are probably one of the lowest of the low. And I think I shall begin by explaining their weapons to you. A normal skeleton in the world of Overlord is usually wielding a rusted blade, or a damaged or crooked spear, or a similar low quality and decaying weapon. These skeletons are also not as strong as even low-tier copper-ranked adventurers, but should be able to take on at least a normal goblin. Like all skeletal beings in the world of Overlord, skeletons don't require sleep or rest, since they are animated by magic and not by flesh, blood, and biomechanics, so they never tire, no matter how intense or boring the task at hand may be, making them a far more and far better alternative to normal biological labor for repetitive tasks, such as laying bricks, mining, or plowing the fields. They are also immune to poison because they are just bones. They don't have anything that can be poisoned or suffer a critical hit. And they are also immune to cold temperatures and ice-based attacks, and to some degree even piercing and slashing type of damage. But in turn, they are very susceptible to heat, blunt damage, fire-based spells, and holy type moves and spells. But skeletons only have a vague intelligence, which makes their bad stats already worse, and therefore they can only understand and follow simple orders. The same also applies not only for Ainz undead skeletons, but also for naturally spawning skeletal undead. For example, in Volume 2, The Dark Knight, Mormon did fight quite a few skeletons in the graveyard of Irantel, but even these minor undead learned that Mormon's weapon have a range, and eventually tried to stay out of it, after numerous others have already perished, so they have only a rudimentary intelligence. And they also don't come with armor, though some bits and pieces of old gambeson or iron might be adoring their skeletal bodies here and there. And on the battlefield, skeletons, despite being so weak, have two great qualities. The first one is their quantity. Skeletons are relatively easy to summon and control, and if properly instructed, they can march in formation and follow more complex orders by simply having them follow a more intelligent leader of a unit, perhaps a lich, a human warrior, or even a goblin would already suffice. But if Ainz unleashes his skeletons, they will have the numbers necessary to overwhelm or outlast the enemy, for while they don't tire, living beings will eventually run out of steam, spellcasters will run out of mana, and unless they are Rudius or Ainz himself, of course. So skeletons don't need to win a fight, nor even a battle, they just need to lose slow enough for hunger, thirst, fatigue, and morale to defeat the enemy for them. For while normal living beings want to stay, well, alive, these skeletons will follow every order without question or second thoughts, all the way back to their grave. This is their second great advantage. They are basically magical robots that don't moan or complain about working conditions. They can't be frightened or shocked or stunned or demoralized. So they basically display something we Germans call Kadavergehorsam, the following of directions without any personal input, and can therefore be seen as weak, but also incredibly reliant soldiers. Lastly, skeletons hold a few other advantages that make more than up for their weak base stats. First and foremost, while they are not on par of Ainz other magical creations, these skeletons, who naturally spawn on the Katz plane, are nonetheless part of Ainz kingdom and therefore can technically be seen also as Ainz skeletons, though they are wild and untamed and do not follow the direction of Ainz or anybody else for that matter, without somebody using control on that, or a similar spell or ability. But these wild skeletons are used as practice enemies for the now state-controlled Adventurer Guild in order to give the young recruits a taste of battle and weed out those who are not meant to become adventurers in the first place. And the other thing I want to mention is that these skeletons of Ainz can be buffed, just like Iguva 41 or any other undead creation of Ainz can, which is quite the boon for any undead, since this is actually one of the core abilities of any Overlord, and of Ainz build in particular. And in the case of Iguva 41, this buff was substantial, increasing his base stats by 20 to 40%. And if this is a percentage-based power, then this is already remarkable. But if the buff is applied as an absolute number and adds 10 or even 20 levels to certain stats, then Ainz could potentially buff his summons to the point where mere skeletons could rival, if not Death Knights or Death Warriors, then at the very least some normal lizard men. Though we also don't know precisely how the buff mechanic works, if the buff is stronger the more mana Ainz pours in, if it is percentage based or not, and how often Ainz can even buff an undead creation of his. So there are still quite a few questions that remain. And finally, thanks to their slender build and low weight, they don't have problems with swamplands and can traverse these difficult terrains rather easily. But with all of that said, this is pretty much all there is to these skeletons, to the most basic summon of Ainz. And now it's your turn. Please let me know your thoughts about skeletons, about how Overlord uses these very old fantasy fiends, and of course about the video itself. And while you write, let me say my special thanks to Ader Daddy Ader, ASK, Bad Guy Yi, Bad Burrito 316, Beezer, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Dragonlord Placidu Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Lothrazer, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, Oh Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantum, Personage, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Cune Carcos P, Shangox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenokai, and Zonagon. Thanks guys. And anyway, have a nice day and I see you all again soon on my next video.